Hi everyone. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So, I spent yesterday in the presence of God and I've just been oh, so how can I how do you want me to start? I don't even know where to start. Okay. So, I hadn't even realized that Tara, you've been on a break. Like I did, but I didn't. It was weird. Because I was still, going through the things that God was telling me to do. I was still being obedient. It's not easy. I can tell you there are days that I'm just like, you want me to, sorry guys, you want me to do what? You want me to go where? You want me to do, you want me to say that? No. Why? No, 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 no. Um, so it's been a road. And looking back at everything that I went through over the past 2 years, since I left everything to walk this walk with God, um, I was scared. I was falling apart. I was terrified about the way I was doing things, the way I was seeing things. But the one thing I was never scared to do was follow God. Did I get ahead of him? Yes, I did. Did I get myself into some troubles because I did that? Yes, I did. But all of it, all of it was to bring me out of. So think of it like he calls me 007. He has a few nicknames for me. So think of it like a spy movie where you're going undercover and you've lived this life. And in order for you to be a believable person, character in this film, in this reality that you're living, you have to really immerse yourself 100% in the character. And I've heard other private detectives or undercover agents who've talked about this, that when they come out, or even actors, when they come out of a role, and they've really, the really good ones, the ones that you're like, dang, like they could really be this person in real life if they wanted to. They're that good at pretending to be this other person, okay, this secret agent. We're all secret agents for God. The chosen have to walk the way God tells us to walk. And trust me, sometimes the world perceives us in a whole different other light. And you're just like, you think I'm what? That's not even close to who I am. Like, do you even see who I am? Like, but you're playing that role so well that they don't see that you're really not that person. Okay? Because the world will see you with their worldly eyes, with their carnal eyes. They won't see you with their spirit eyes because they're still asleep. So I was listening to Tara. Tara came back on, yes, she actually came back 13 days ago, which is right around the time that I got let go. God is strategic. He is very strategic on how he does things. Because God calls Tara my John. John was Jesus's coming before him, telling the world, he's coming, he's coming, he's coming. Tara is my John. Like, she's, the way she sees things, the way that God speaks to her. I can't explain it. It's like an unveiling of my eyes, of truths that I knew a very long time ago, but because I've been in this role for so long that I started to forget the things that God had put in me to bring to the world. My true essence, my true position within the kingdom of God. And so when she came in yesterday, or when I saw her video yesterday, and I'm so sorry that you had to turn off all your comments, because I so wanted to talk to you, Tara. I wanted to tell you what God was telling me through you. And you were talking about the day that you were born again. Now, the dates that you gave coincide with dates that mean things to me. Okay? Your initials mean things to me because of who I'm going to be with. And you were talking about the day that you were born again. And God kept highlighting the date. And I was like, Father, why are you highlighting this date? Like, and before you even came on, He had me write down different numbers. And just so that you guys can see, hang on. There's a private thing that I wrote that doesn't need to be seen by anybody else but me. Okay? That's why I covered it up. So God confirmed to me yesterday that my husband has now completely surrendered to Him. He is now born again. He gave his life to God when he was 14. I don't have any confirmation yet. I will. This is all. This is me being faithful and speaking what God is giving to me, because obedience is better than sacrifice, and I'm being obedient because God is going to bring this back very soon. But I am going to be taking a break. A well-deserved break, I have to tell you. So I was so deep in this character, in this previous life, that I started to believe the things that the people around me were telling me about me. I was becoming the thing that they were speaking, the death they were speaking over me. I was breaking down. That's why God took me out of that life, took me out of them, took me away from the people that were doing these things to me, because it was now everyone in my circle. It was friends, it was coworkers, it was bosses, it was family members, it was everyone in my circle was speaking death. You're not as good as you think you are. You're not special. You're just a random person. You need to stop being so. What was the name that they used to call me? High and mighty. You need to stop being so high and mighty. You need to lower your standards. You need to be less than who you are. Those were the words that I was hearing constantly, 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 from the time I was 7 years old. Actually, younger than that. From the time I was 3 until I left everyone behind at 45. And the people that I was friends with were like, why are you not coming around? Why aren't you hanging out with us? Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? And I'm like, I need my peace. I'm done. I'm walking away. And so God pulled me away to a point, because I had to do it. He gave me a choice: continue in this life or start walking towards me. So I left the people. I left the things that He was showing me to leave behind. I started staying home more. I actually, at the time, I had Apollo's mom. Her name was Boo Boo. And so I spent a lot of time with her because she had been abused. Her children, her puppies had been taken from her year after year, every cycle that she was pregnant, they would take them from her. She wasn't allowed to care for them. Like, you're not supposed to take puppies away from their mom until they're like at least 6 weeks. These puppies were being weaned off her as soon as they were born. Okay? They were taken away from her. And so she became angry. She became bitter. And I understood her because I was becoming bitter. I was becoming angry. I was becoming hateful. They were starting to destroy my heart, which is the one thing that God has always, always wanted to protect. Because there's no two hearts like mine. I do not harbor hate. I do not harbor anger. I let it go. I used to allow people back in. I don't anymore, because God said, boundaries. Keep your hands up. Keep them at a distance. They don't need to come near you. They don't need to be around you. And I was like, okay, I understand. I don't want to be that person ever again. And so when I began to come back to God and He began to lead me out, I always have this impatience. Like, I'm patient to a point, and then I start to, okay, let's go. Come on. It's not moving fast enough. And so God had to take me through this level of bringing me down. Like, He almost had to bring me back down to my foundation. Like, almost nothing. And pretty close to nothing. And the reason for that is because of the level of fear that was intertwined in my soul now at this point. And I remember when I first started coming out, Nina, you were Bold for Christ was the first prophet that God brought to me, that He wanted me to follow her because she has words, she has things that she receives from God, that is how God wants me to be. And but I was so, and I recognize this, I was so raw. And this is where that dream comes in. So there was two of me. The one that I would allow the demons to carry me away, the raw emotions. I was like this ball of emotional turmoil in the flesh. I was raw. And when I first came out, the boldness of Nina hurt, because I literally did not feel, I don't want to cry. I didn't feel worthy of God because of all the things that I had been through. I didn't feel that I deserved to come home to God. So when I see someone in the world, I don't judge them, because I understand. I've been there. I was at the threshold of letting myself go, letting myself lose the only thing that means anything to me, which is my God. And so I asked God to bring me someone who was softer. And I said, because I'm not ready for her. I'm not ready to receive from her. I'm still too raw. I'm still too sensitive. And she doesn't need to be dealing with my sensitivity. She doesn't need to be dealing with my rawness. She should be able to preach how you're But you have her. Because this is about my inability to really hear in the way that she's feeding us, in the way that you have her feeding us. And so he brought me to a few other prophets. Oh my goodness. Ariel Sparks was the third prophet that he brought to me. So Nina was the first one. Then he brought me, oh my gosh, what's her name? I still listen to her. She's a very strong woman of God. And her mom and her dad, and the whole family is involved in the ministry. And they are so anointed. And she's based out of Texas. And she actually was was the beginning of me. Okay, this is a little softer. Okay, and so the way that she was building up her ministry, because God had just she had just started in her ministry, and so God was bringing her out of the level that she was in, and he was elevating her. And because he was the way he was elevating her, and she was you know, nurtured by her family. Her mom's name is Yolanda. Oh my goodness, I can't remember. It starts with a D. He brings me a lot of names that are similar to mine, which is, I'm like, Father? But the softness that she was speaking, I was able to listen, and I was able to start listening to God and not feeling unworthy, because that's one of the things that we have to stop feeling is unworthy, because if we don't feel worthy, we're not going to hear the things that he has us listen, like we're not going to receive from him. You know, his prophets are only supposed to be confirmation, maybe even provide instruction or additional guidance. They're not supposed to replace God. Okay? God gives you what he needs you to take, and then he sends people to you to confirm the words that he's giving you, so that you know that you are hearing from him, because there are people that he brings you that you know for a fact are listening from God, or they're hearing from God, because you can see the evidence of the fruit that comes out of their mouth. You will know them by their fruit. And so, because I was so raw, because I was so unable to hear the boldness, he brought me others. So he brought me this young lady, and then he brought me Ariel Sparks, Tea Time with Ariel Sparks. And Ariel Sparks really, the way that God speaks to her, and the way that she started her ministry, built me up. So God allowed me to build up my arsenal, my protection, the armor of God. Okay, so think of it like, really? God said, think of it like a lizard. When they're born, their skin is very tender. It's very easy to be punctured. They could die very easily. But as their skin starts to roughen up, as it starts to get thicker and it starts to get hard, it's not as easily to penetrate. So think of it as that's his armor around us. You know, the chest plate, the coverings of the legs, the coverings of our mind. When we're starting out, it's easy to pierce our armor because we're not strong in his word. We're not strong in the way that he's leading us. But as we build up confidence, as we build up strength in understanding that we do hear from God, and you start to stand boldly in his presence, in his word, in his things that he's telling you, now it's not so easy to knock you down. It's not so easy to penetrate your defenses. It's not so easy. Someone can throw out a comment and you'd be like, oh my God, Actually, I don't even deal with comments. I don't know if I have any. Like, God doesn't. I told God, I said, if you don't want them posting anything on my comments, it's on you. It's yours. You tell, you convict them. You tell them whatever you want to tell them. I don't, let only the people you want to come through. I'm not going to respond. And I've had two that they posted. I read them and I went back I'm like, God, how do you want me to reply to this? And God's like, don't worry. They already took it off. And I went back to look for it. I was like, the comment's gone. That person removed it because God told them. So I don't worry about comments. Which is going to lead me into this other thing. Okay. So early on, when I first started, I made a video talking about the number 0 and how God gave me the number 0. And I found it so interesting. So I was yesterday, while I was studying and reading the Word and going through my rabbit hole, I came upon this young man who, his video was made a year ago. Now mine was made in 2022. This was quite a bit ago. And I had talked about how the number 0, God is in the 0. God is in the nothing. And I know, back then I thought I was insane. I'm like, what? Like, in the 0? Like, what? Who? And then God brought me to Genesis, verse 1, or chapter 1, verse 2, where he talks about, or I'm in Genesis right now. We're going to have a long conversation. So, yes. So it was verse 2, where it says, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. Okay. So in the beginning, there was nothing. 0. Zilch. God said there was nothing created. Absolutely no form. There was nothing. It was void. What's a void? A 0. And then he said, but all it took was 4 words. Let there be light. And suddenly, it changed. It was no longer void. It was no longer 0. So when you get to that point where God takes you to nothing, okay, and you're looking around going, I can't go any lower than this. Like, this is bottom. God goes, that's my perfect spot to start. And I'm like, but I'm still here. And so when I saw this young man, and God goes, go look. I'm like, what? I'm like, really? That's the word he picked? And God goes, I know, right? And I'm like, no one has ever talked about the 0. Like, I've never heard any of God's children go, oh yeah, God's in the 0. Like, 0. And this man is going on and on. Like, of course, he changed the words and, he made it his own because, and I blessed him. I said, God, if he's able to bring one person by taking the words that you gave me and him doing this, if it brings you one person, by all means, let him take more. These aren't my words. These are your words. You can do with them what you want. If you lead someone to my page, and they get more revelation, and they get, additional things that they can build upon the word that you gave me. And because of that, it turns another child to you. Then who am I to say, how dare they steal my words? It's like, they don't belong to me. They belong to him. I just share. I share my path. I share what I've been through. I share how people have treated me. But ultimately, this is God's world. I belong to God. What I go through is because of his glory. Because he's going to show everyone what he's doing in my life. And you will not even me, will be able to say it wasn't God. Because I can't get myself out of this place. He had me fired. Like, I could go and try and get jobs, and every one of them is going to say no. Bye. See ya. Why? Because God says, this is where I want you. This is where you have to be right now. And I could be here and I'd be like, oh my God, I'm so scared. And all that's going to do is like, okay, God's going to stand there and go, are you done? Are you ready? Can I step in now? Or are you going to be suffering, and you're going to be in your feelings, and you're going to be holding me up? I'm like, no, sir. I'm at your feet, Father. I'm here. I'm ready. I let you do what you want to do. If you want me here, I will do it with gladness. The first time around, it was letting go of the fear. And I did. I cried a lot. And I spent a lot of time at God's feet. And he told me, drag yourself out of the sludge. And I was like, how? How do I drag myself out? Like, I don't know how to do that. And so he started putting prophets, people who started speaking life into me, who started explaining that you don't have to be that person that they try to destroy. And I was like, oh, so I can choose. And God goes, yes, you can choose. You can choose to let that sludge continue sticking to you, or you can choose to walk the way I'm going to show you. And the day that I said, okay, how do you want me to do that? He said, you're going to start at the bottom again. I'm like, I'm not afraid of starting at the bottom. I'm not afraid of putting in the work that needs to be put in to get myself to the next level. Because there is. You have to work alongside of God. God gives you an instruction, and it is your free will to follow that instruction, or to walk away and walk in the other direction and do what you want to do. But it took God putting one thing in front of another, in front of another. And so I had to go through working at 7-Eleven, working the midnight shift, a shift that I was afraid of because of a situation that I went through. I got held up at gunpoint. A boy, 17 years old, put a .45 caliber gun to my temple. Not once, but twice. I thought I was going to die that night. And then he walked me to the safe, and he put that gun to the back of my head. I thought I was going to die. So God took me back to that time frame, the midnight hour where evil lurks. And he started teaching me how to pray. Because I hadn't prayed since, I prayed while I was married. I prayed while I was going through this struggles. But God had never, I prayed for my salvation. I prayed for my release. Like, Father, bring me home. I'm done. But now he was teaching me how to fight. He was teaching me how to start poking holes in Lucifer's plan. He started teaching me how to defend that which is mine, which is what God has given me. So when we're standing in the gap, and actually I just listened to a word from Bold for Christ regarding our kingdom spouses and being standers and standing in the gap. And we do forget, we do forget that it's not about us. Okay? But not because we're being selfish, not because we're discounting that it's for God's glory, that it's for God, to return these people to God. But Lucifer has a way of twerking it just a little bit. And so you start to forget, not forget, but you start to see in your natural eyes versus seeing with your spiritual eyes. And so it's a constant taking down of the flesh, taking down of the ego. And I still do it today. Like, I still will sit, especially during these last 2 weeks. I have been at God's feet because my flesh has been like, we're not going to stand for this. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Sit down, child. Wait for God. Wait for God. Because if I start moving, if I start trying to do things out of my own will, guess what? It's going to be a lot harder. So, bless that man. If he takes words and he's able to bring people to God, by all means, take more words. I don't mind. Because I know who gives me those words. And that's God. Okay. So, Tara, you were talking about your born again date. My spouse was born again yesterday. So now, and he just had a birthday. His birthday's in April. And so on 3/31 of this year, he gave me the number 45. I don't know if you guys remember, but I had been doing a lot of checking up or looking up dates in the Strong Concordance. Okay, he had me do this for 326, 327, and 328, I believe.